Hello and welcome back. In the classical mechanics, the very big mystery of the physical world was that what is the shape of the path taken by the planets during their motion around the sun, and that was resolved by the scientist Kepler by proving that by proving the equations that the motion of the planets confined to a plane, and this plane is nothing but elliptical plane, and which is confined to a rule that is known as Kepler's first law of planetary motion. In this video, we will look at that how we can derive, how we can exactly say, how we can say robustly that the path over which all the planets are moving around the sun in their respective motion is ellipse, not the circular. So in this video, our topic is to prove that the path taken by the planets around the sun is ellipse, and which is simply known as the Kepler's first law. To prove this fact, we will take the use of Newton's gravitation law. So this topic can be written as deduction of Kepler's first law from Newton's gravitation law. As you have studied very well about Kepler's first law in your junior classes in 11th or 10th or 9th, that first law of planetary motion given by the Kepler is related to the path or focus. Okay, so path of the planets which are taken by them is ellipse. And what is the statement of Kepler's first law? This is that all the planets around the sun move in the elliptical path, and the sun is at any one foci of the elliptical path of all the planets. So this is a statement of Kepler's first law. And how we can say this is an ellipse, not the circular? We will derive this condition in this video. Okay, in the earlier videos we have also seen that the plane in which all the planets are moving is confined, only is one plane. It simply means that all the planets are moving in one plane. If this is the Earth, this is moving around the sun in this plane, and another planet Mars is also moving in this plane, Jupiter is also moving this plane, and all the other rest planets are moving around the sun taking one plane but of different radii. And what is exactly the shape of their path during their motion? This is ellipse. So we will derive this condition mathematically. In the later video, we have also derived that the total angular momentum of any planet around the sun remains conserved and constant in direction and magnitude as well. Okay. Also, we have derived that the aerial velocity of all the planets around the sun is a constant, which is nothing but L over 2m. This is general fact. Okay. So in order to derive this fact, we will use the earlier fact, and one important fact is the aerial velocity of the planet is constant, and which is L over 2m. Okay, by convenient this factor is constant, d over dt is constant, aerial velocity is constant, so I am regarding this factor as h by 2, where h is also a constant factor. Okay, you know very well the angular momentum of anything is nothing but I omega in rotatory motion. L equals to I omega. As in linear motion, P equals to mv, mass and linear velocity equals to linear momentum. In rotational motion, the angular momentum is moment of inertia, which plays roles as same as the mass in linear motion, and omega is angular velocity. The linear velocity is taken here, omega is taken. Omega is the angular velocity. So moment of inertia of the planet multiplied by their angular velocity gives the angular momentum of the planet. Okay, so we can use this fact also. So this is I omega, and I nothing but mass and square of mass product with the square of the distance of the planet. So let's say this is mr square. Okay, because m is the mass of the planet and r is the radius of the path over which the planet is moving around the sun. Okay, and omega is nothing but rate change of angular velocity. Okay, so this is I and this is omega. So this complete factor is L and divided by 2m and divided by 2m. Okay, so L over 2m is L over 2m, L over 2m. Okay, this m is cancelled by m. Remain factor is r square over 2 d theta over dt, and which is going equal to h over 2. Okay, so from here I get the value of h by 2 equals r square d theta over dt over 2. Let's say 2 is cancelled by 2 also. So the value of h is nothing but r square d theta over dt. We will use in the later facts. Okay. Let's consider all the forces exerting by the planet. Okay. So let's draw a diagram. This is the sun. This is the planet which is moving around the sun in an unknown path. We are not knowing this path is ellipse. We are saying that this is unknown path. We will derive the condition, and after that we will say this is the ellipse. Okay. So let's say the radius vector from P to S, planet to sun, is r. Okay, the mass of the planet is small m and the mass of the sun is capital M. And let's say the motion of this planet is taking place in this direction. Okay. Now general physics says that the gravitational force on the planet is given by vector F equals minus g mass of sun and mass of planet divided by square of radius between them and r cap, where r cap is nothing but the unit vector in the direction of radius. Okay, which is showing the direction of the force exerting on the planet toward the sun. Here negative sign is showing that the attractive force on the planet toward the sun is in the opposite direction of the radius vector. Radius vector is confined to from here, from sun to the planet in this way. Okay, and the force exerting on the planet, experiencing by the planet toward the sun, is in this direction. So both are in the opposite direction. I have taken as negative. This is nothing but the gravitational force given by the Newton. So we will use this force to derive the Kepler's first law. What about the other forces experiencing by this planet? As the planet is attracting towards this side, so it has some acceleration of the force because it wants to go from here. Let's say this acceleration is due to the radius. So the force exerting by the planet is F, and let's say the acceleration is a, and a is nothing but double derivative of radius or distance. Okay, so the acceleration experiencing by the planet in this direction is d square r over dt square. If I multiply this acceleration by m, so mass multiplied by acceleration gives me the force exerting on the planet in this direction, which leads to this planet towards the sun. Okay. Also, there is a force acting on the planet which is nothing but centrifugal force, because the planet is moving in just like a circular motion. Because if this is an ellipse, then in ellipse also centrifugal force takes place. Okay, so this force is nothing but mr omega square, centrifugal force. Both the forces are in the opposite direction, and this force is greater because the planet is bounded around this sun. So this force is greater, this force is lesser. So the net force on the planet will be m d square r over dt square minus centrifugal force. And the difference of these two forces gives the attraction of the planet towards the sun, which is nothing but F, this. Okay, so we can use the complete force on this planet, and which is towards the radius of this path of planet to the sun. So this is also known as radial force. Radial force acting on the planet. Okay. So radial force on the planet is nothing but F equals m d square r divided by dt square minus mr omega square. Okay, and omega square is nothing but d theta over dt, because angular velocity is rate change of angle. Okay, so this is d theta over dt here, and its square is also taken because this is mr omega square. Okay, f is nothing but minus g mm divided by r square in the magnitude. So this force is capital G capital M small m divided by r square. Okay, m can be taken as common, can be cancelled by this m. So rest factor will be this is the fact what we have. Okay, now we can put the value of d theta over dt from this equation. Okay, from this equation d theta over dt gives me h over r square. Okay, so I am taking this fact in this equation. So gm over r square equals d square. I am putting this factor here. So this is d square r divided by dt square minus r. This is d theta over dt, which is nothing but h over r square, and this is its square. So complete powers will be h square divided by r raised to power 4. Because h over r square d theta over dt, take the square of this equation. This is h square over r raised to power 4, equating to d theta over dt square. Okay, and 2 power and 1 power will be cancelled out. So rest power will be 3. It is complete factor which is going to equal minus g capital M over r square. Okay, so this is what we have. Now in this equation 1 over power of r are appearing. Okay, let's say this equation is 1 and this is 2. For convenient, I can put 1 over r as a new variable u. Okay, so I can put in this value 1 over r as u. So this is d square r over dt square minus h square 1 over r cube gives me u cube. So this is u cube equals minus gm 1 over r square gives me u square. So this is u square here. Also we had to convert this differential coefficient which is of r in terms of u. In order to do that, we can differentiate this equation twice. Okay, so let's say this equation is 3. So in order to find the double derivative of r with respect to time, we can differentiate this equation with respect to time. So from here, let's say this equation is 1 over u equals to r also. Okay, so this complete factor is dr over dt gives me 1 over u is variable, so its differentiation is minus 1 over u square and du over dt. Okay, for convenient I am multiplying and dividing by d theta. By doing so I get d theta over dt as omega. So this is minus 1 over u square and this is omega, and remaining term is du over d theta. Okay, and omega is nothing but d theta over dt, rate change of angle, and d theta over dt is nothing but again d theta over dt is h over r square. This is omega. Okay, so this is h over r square. So I can put omega as h square over r square. So this is minus 1 over u square and this is h over r square, and this is du over d theta. Again 1 over r square gives me the u square. So this is 1 over r square gives me u square. So minus 1 over u square is this, and 1 over r square gives me u square again, and this is h, and this is du over d theta. U square is cancelled by u square, and remain is dr over dt equal minus h du over d theta, minus h du over d theta. Okay, up till now we have only reached on dr over dt. Let's differentiate this equation again. So dr over dt equals to minus h du over d theta. This is what we have derived up till now. Okay, now differentiate this equation again. D square r over dt square, which is going to equal minus h is constant, so h is again here, and d square du over d theta becomes d square u over d theta square. Theta is variable because angle is changing, so the differentiation of theta will be d theta over dt. Okay, again d theta over dt is appearing. D theta over dt again can be put as h over r square. So this is d square r divided by dt square equals minus h d square u over d theta square multiply what? H over r square. So this is h over r square, and at last this is h and h times h square over r square du square u over d theta square. Again 1 over r square gives me u square, so this is minus h square u square. 1 over r square gives me u square, and this is d square over d theta square. This is what we have, d square over dt square. Okay, so we can exchange r in terms of u by taking this complete factor in this equation. Okay, so by putting this value in equation number 3, equation 3 leads to d square r over dt square gives me minus h square u square multiplied by d square over d theta square and minus h square u cube equals minus gm u square. Okay, so this is what we have up till now. Now you can easily see that in all the equations h square over u square is appearing. Okay, so I am dividing all the equation by h square u square. Why doing so? With minus h square u square. Okay, so minus h square u square is here, again is here, again is here. The rest terms will be h square u square is completely cancelled by h square u square, also the sign. This h square and h square is cancelled with the sign, and 1 power of u is here, and u square is cancelled by u square and minus plus, and the remaining equation is d square u over d theta square and plus, this is here plus because minus and minus gets positive, and 1 power is appearing, so this is u and equals to gm only, gm over h square only. So gm over h square, this is the final equation what we have. Okay, so I am writing this equation as d square u over d theta square plus u minus gm over h square. Okay, take this factor into the equation, or d square over d theta square, take this derivative out, this is u. I am taking minus gm over h square also here, and this remaining term is u minus gm over h square equals to u square. How we have take this value and why we have take this value? If you solve this factor, if you take this in the bracket, then this will be d square u over d theta square. Okay, this term, and d square over d theta square will be operated on gm over h square, and gm and h square all the values are constant, So the differentiation of this factor with respect to theta will be 0. So this term is neutral term. For the convenient, I have made so. Okay. Now this is nothing but a very familiar differential equation. If you look at this equation, a way that this is like d square by over dx square plus y equals to 0, where y is nothing but u minus gm over h square. Again, y is u minus gm over h square and d square over dx square. So this is the linear homogeneous differential equation of order 2, whose solution is given by y equals c cos theta minus c cos theta. Okay, so the solution of this differential equation will be in this form. Here y is nothing but u minus gm over h square. So for the planet, this differential equation can be solved as, let's say this equation is fourth. So solution of differential equation fourth will be of the form as this will be u minus gm over h square, this is our y, equals minus c cos theta. Okay, so this is the solution of this differential equation. You can solve that differential equation by using your 12th principle of definite integration also. Okay, so this is the equation what we have. Also, this can be written as, I am taking gm over h square as common also. Okay, so by taking that, I will get gm over h square from here, that will equals to u over gm over h square. So h square will be in the numerator and this will be minus 1. It is equals to minus c cos theta. Okay, now take this value in the denominator of c cos theta. So this will be gm over h square and h square will be in the multiply of numerator. Okay, now this can also be written as u h square u over gm, sorry, h square over gm, okay, and multiply by u. Okay, this minus 1 can be taken as in this side, so this will be of plus 1 and this will be minus h square divided by gm and cos theta times of c. Now look at this equation. Again, I can replace the u as 1 over r. U is 1 over r. So this u is 1 over r. So h square divided by gm into r equals to 1 minus h square divided by gm and c cos theta. This is the last expression what we have for this planet. Okay, now just look at this equation sharply. This equation can be written as, I am taking it as L divided by R, okay, equals 1. I am taking this value as E, this complete value as E, okay, and this is cos theta, and this is nothing but very famous equation of conic section, which is representing the conic. So the conic which is showing by this equation will be of the form depending upon the eccentricity. So this equation is showing the conic whose semi-latest rectum is h square over gm, because L is the latest rectum of this conic having this equation having eccentricity E. Okay, and again h square c over gm is showing the eccentricity of that particular conic section followed by the planet. We are deriving this equation for the planet. So planet, taking the conic or path whose equation is this. Now we have the condition that which one conic is showing by this equation. That will depend upon the eccentricity. So while checking the eccentricity of this conic section, we will ensure that this conic is circle, parabolic, or hyperbola, or ellipse, whatever it is. Okay. So we have L as h square gm. Okay. Also we have eccentricity equals h square c divided by gm. This is eccentricity. Now just remember the motion of the planet around the sun again. If this is the sun and this is the planet moving around the sun in a conic, a non-conic, whose eccentricity is h square c divided by gm. Okay, then as you know very well that the complete energy of the planet, total energy of the planet, is the sum of its potential energy and kinetic energy. Okay, so kinetic energy of the planet having mass m is 1 by 2 mr square mb square, and plus its potential energy. Potential is nothing but its binding energy also. So potential energy is of negative. Okay, so this is minus g m small m divided by r. This is its potential energy. So this complete factor shows the total energy of the planet. Okay, as you also know that the total energy of the planet is negative. And why it is negative? Because planet moves around the sun in its bounding condition. All the planets are bounded with the sun due to its attraction force. So whenever a particle is bounded with another particle, then its energy is called negative. In the same way, the complete energy of the planet is negative. If you provide same amount of energy which is in the negative value to the planet, then planet will escape. So total energy is of negative. If you give the same amount as total energy is but in positive to the planet, then planet is escaped. Okay, so that is escaped energy also. So total energy is negative. This is a fact. Now to prove this fact, in what condition the total energy will be negative? This will be negative if this factor will be greater than this factor. If this factor is greater than this factor, then this value will be high and this value is low. So low minus high value will give you negative value. And this factor will be greater only and only if when this complete factor is greater. So to make this factor as greater, gm m over r as greater, what should be done? What are the common factors in this fact and what we have? These are the gm. So gm factor should be greater. So whenever gm factor should be greater than 1, if gm is greater than 1, e will be lesser than 1 because it is in the reciprocal condition. So whenever gm is greater, e will be negative. And why should be gm be greater? Because whenever gm is greater, this value is negative, and which is the true. So to make this fact as actual, gm should be greater. So gm should be greater than 1. As gm is greater, is lesser than 1. So eccentricity of the planets, path of the planets followed by them, is lesser than 1. And the conic as a curve which has eccentricity lesser than 1, which is known as simple ellipse. Because if eccentricity is 0, then this is a circle. If eccentricity is greater than 1, this is a hyperbola. And eccentricity is lesser than 1, then it is ellipse. and if eccentricity is just equals to 1, then that is a parabola. Okay, now eccentricity is lesser than 1, so the path of the conic is ellipse. Also, the path of the planet should be closed, because all the planets are moving around the sun in a closed path. So closed curve are possible which are ellipse or circle. We don't need to check the parabola or hyperbola, because parabola is an open curve and hyperbola is also open curve. So it cannot be parabola or hyperbola in general sense also. This may be circle or ellipse. To make the eccentricity as circle, this value should be 0, but this value it is not 0, because gm cannot be 0 and cannot be infinite to make E as 0, and H and C cannot be 0. So this factor what we have derived is E is lesser than 1. Okay, so E is lesser than 1, so the conic is ellipse. So up till now we have proved that the path over which all the planets are moving is ellipse. So that is elliptical path followed by planets. We have derived this factor. Okay, now let's talk about the third rule of Kepler. We can derive the Kepler's third law. Kepler's third law, whose statement is that the square of the periodic time or period time or time of revolution of any planet around the sun is proportional to the cube of the semi-major axis. Okay, so we can derive that fact by this consideration also. So we have to take periodic time of the planet, which is nothing but area of path followed by the planet divided by its aerial velocity. Okay, so area of the path followed by the planet is ellipse, and the area of the ellipse is pi AB, where A is the semi-major axis and B is the semi-minor axis. And aerial velocity is nothing but d over dt, which is nothing but L over 2m or h over 2. Okay, so this is h over 2. So t is going to equals 2 pi AB divided by h. Right? Take the square of this equation. This is t square 4 pi square a square b square divided by h square. This is the square of the periodic time. Now we can put the value of h square from this equation. Okay, so this equation is nothing but h square is going to equal L times of gm. You should know also about the latest rectum of the ellipse, which is nothing but square of semi-major axis divided by semi-minor axis square divided by semi-major axis. So this is the latest rectum of ellipse. You have studied about that in your 11th class. So I can put L as b square over a. So this is b square over a. From this equation, L is nothing but b square over a. This is h square over gm. So h square is b square over a times of gm. Okay, so we can put h square here. This is 4 pi square a square divided by h square. H square nothing but b square gm divided by a, and this a will raise the power of a square additional as 1. So this complete power will be 4 pi square a cube b square is cancelled by b square, and this is divided by gm. Now this in equation 4 pi square divided by gm is Kepler constant, because this complete factor is numerical constant. Pi is 3.14, its square is 9.8 something, g is 6.67 10 to the power minus 11 m k unit, and mass of the sun is 10 to the power 32 approximately, and so this complete factor is constant. So this is constant, and this equation simply says that t square proportional to a cube, which is nothing but the Kepler's third law. The square of the time period of any planet around the sun is proportional to the cube of the semi-major axis. So this is the Kepler's third law, what we have derived in this video. So in this way, we can conclude that the path followed by all the planets, which is confined plane motion, is ellipse, not the circle, as we have derived the condition as eccentricity comes out to be lesser than 1, which proves that the path followed by any planet is ellipse. Okay. Also, we can sum up that the third law followed by the planets is that what we have derived in this equation. So actually in classical physics, this was a very big mystery solved by the Kepler's by saying that the path taken by the planets is ellipse. Okay, so I think this is enough in this video. Let's meet in the next video. Thank you.